of Technical Entrepreneurship Development Program organized by RTY JCRC. In last lecture with Piyush Agarwal sir, we talked about different types of variables, managing arguments, naming best practices, the argument panel about imported namespaces, and imported new spaces. So over to you, sir.
Okay, thanks, Jay. So,
Thank you,
hi
sir.
guys, how are you all? Is everyone doing fine? And before starting, just let me know first that is anyone is still facing any issue or from previous lectures, or are we good to go with the newest one? Good to go. Okay. What about others? Yeah, cool. Great. So as just like our previous sessions, be ready. The first thing that we do are quizzes on the way. Let me just start it. Okay, so I guess my screen is visible to you all, right?
Yes, sir.
Join, guys. Let's see how many of you are really interactive, how many of you are keeping focus. Today, since we have only 20 participants, so I guess let's wait for 12, at least 12 players we are waiting. We have got yesterday's winner, Dheeraj, already joined the session game. And guys, if any of your friend is still has not joined the session, please help them, remind them to join it, because we have got, I guess, half of the participants as compared to our previous sessions. Others, aren't you joining? Only 5 players have joined, guys. Fast. Wow. Guys, what happened? Are you guys not interested? You can just mention in the chat anything, because I don't know what is going on, but only 6 players have joined the game today. Network problem. Okay, Sainath. Okay, Sainath. Take your time.
Sorry, Piyush. Sorry to interrupt.
Yes, ma'am.
There is one, update in it. Amrendra, Dalal, and most of this participant haven't joined with their name. They joined with their name, but you should join with the roll number, which we assigned to you all. Divyanshu Agarwal. So please, you can you rename yourself, or you can join with your roll number so that we can track you, And otherwise we are not able to track your attendance. How we are going to maintain your attendance? That's why I'm requesting you all, kindly rename yourself with the roll number. Thank you. Continue, please, Piyush.
Okay. Well, have joined. Sainath, are you still facing the issue? Okay. That's me. Hmm. Okay, we are waiting for 1 more minute only. If Sainath, like, if you are not able to join, you can just give your answer in the chat box also. Yeah, okay, Sainath is here. So I guess no one else is joining. So we are starting the game. Okay.
वो मेरे से पूछती है ऊपर ही क्या हाइट बढ़ेगी तो यहाँ मैं क्या
Sam,
मतलब
please mute.
आदमी हूँ
Okay. The first question. If an argument has some direction in or out type, what should we use as a prefix? Oh, so many incorrect answers. So guys, if you remember, in yesterday's session we discussed in arguments there are three types of direction: in direction, out direction, and in out direction. So if we use in out, then we use a prefix io. Io reference for in out. Only 6 have given the correct answer. Let's see. Of course, Aditya is on top, followed by Nish and RPA. We have got 5 more questions. How many types of different data types are available in UiPath? Data types like string, integer, boolean, arrays. Think how many were there? Okay, 7 are giving complete focus to the classes. So guys, there are so many data types available in UiPath that I cannot even count, and they are like they can keep on growing. So none of the above. Great. Moving on to the next question. Keyboard shortcut to create a new argument in UiPath. Well, today looks like yesterday's session, only few people have given some focus. Just remember, guys, a tip that in RPA, you might find that if you know certain shortcuts, keyboard shortcuts, then they would help you to automate so many applications, because there are many use cases that I can automate just by using the keyboard. There is no need of any mouse to do that. If you know the shortcuts, you remember them, it gets easier. Aditya is still on top. Ali has joined on 5 places higher. Let's move to the next question with correct naming convention. Ten seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Whoa, nice. So this time at least 9 people have given the correct answer. This is the correct answer for this in, because our argument type, the direction is in for this particular use case. For those who have given blue one, the second one, that's answer. The issue is that the numeric digits should not come in the starting of a variable name. Though this will be correct when you are using in UiPath, but does not go with the best practice. For this one, for the third one, make sure that your direction type which you're using, in, out, or in, out, they should be in small case based on the best practices. And again, this one is incorrect, because for the arguments, first prefix should be always in, IO, or out. Let's see who is at the top. Finally, Aditya is on third rank. RPA is on top. Great, RPA. And Saksham Sharma, great. Second. Which panel or tab in UiPath Studio is used to add or remove the namespaces from the studio? You guys remember? That was the last topic we had discussed yesterday. 3 minutes. 2, 1. Oh, looks like one was unable to answer this time. So the answers are in like disappointing. So imports is the tab name where you can actually add or remove the namespaces. Okay, so you guys just try to practice in UiPath Studio, then that way you will be able to remember these names. Oh, Aditya is back on top. Great going. No, Aditya is not like no one can take his place. Final question, guys. I guess it's a battle between RP and Aditya. Keyboard shortcut to create a new variable in UiPath. Last 5 seconds. Nice. So this time almost maximum of the students have given the correct answer, Control plus K. So that was all for the game. Let's see our results. Saksham on third, great. RP on second, and our winner is, well, you know, Aditya. Congratulations, Aditya. Like 5 out of 6 correct answer. And great, TZ for the 4th position. Let me just close this one and let's go back to our session for today. So guys, welcome back to your 4th session for the RPA. I'm a bit disappointed that yes, some students are not come today, but okay. So our today's agenda is we will be covering about like what are operators, what are the conditional statements that we use, and about decision flow and switch. These conditional statements are like the most important thing in whenever you are building a bot or any kind of program, because it's these conditions through which you are able to define the state where your flow will go. Okay, now if first let's discuss about operators. Operators are basically some symbols that we use to apply mathematical operations or arithmetical or logical computations. Whenever we say arithmetic operation, that is we are referring to, it could be addition, subtraction, multiplication, exponential. These are your arithmetic operators. And when we speak about logical computation or logical operators, we are referring to your, if you might have heard of logical gates, or basically something like and, or, XOR, XNOR, or we can even consider that comparing operators such as equals to, not equals to. Okay, and let's see, for arithmetic operators, these are few examples. If you want to like manipulate, get the what is the exponential of 2 to the power 3, then you need to use this caret symbol. For addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, these are something which are like universal throughout all the programming languages. And if you want to find a modulus, that is, you write mod. For some students, if you don't know what is modulus, it is basically a remainder whenever you are dividing two number, like 5 divide 2, or basically 5 mod 2, then it will give you 1 as your remainder. Okay, so that are you that we use the arithmetic operators. Next, we have got our logical operators. These logical operators comes very useful because you need to define, it's not only about your numbers or strings. When you are working with UiPath, as you know, there are so many types of data types. So using logical operators, you are able to compare them if they are proper or not. Probably you can check if user has even given you some input or not. If user has given you nothing, then you can simply check if this variable is nothing. If that condition becomes true, what you need to do, just ask the user, buddy, you have not given me the input that I wanted, please give that to me. And you can like keep that in a loop. Similarly, we have got like for not equals to, we use less than and greater than sign. This is a symbol which we use in VB.NET language or in UiPath. But you know, in most of the language, you might see an exclamation mark or an equals to sign for not equal to. But just remember, in UiPath, you would use less than and greater than sign. And on or logic gates. For other than these, also you have got XNOR, XOR. Do you guys know about and or logics? Like, can anyone just give me some examples for them? What would be the condition if it's true and false, or false and false? These. Do you guys know about these logics? Answer in the chat box. True and true is true, true and false is false. Correct, Pratik. So the basic condition for AND is, as long as both the conditions are true, your final condition will also be true. If any one is false, then the AND will give you false. Yes, right, guys. And if we talk about OR, so the basic logic is, if any of the operands are true, then your final result should be true as well. Okay, what is T or R equal to? I guess Rohit, you wanted to mention T or false. Yeah, okay. If both are false, only then it's false for or. Yes, right, Ashi. So that is our AND or OR. Similarly, you have got XOR, XNOR. You can explore them more. All these logical operators you can use in UiPath as well. Basically, all these operators follows the syntax from a VB.NET language. Since you know the complete RPA, it's not about only UiPath. Complete RPA is based on .NET technology. So since VB.NET and C# are two programming languages which are like working on .NET since too long back. So these tools are also following the same procedures. So if you want in future, not now, like even probably after 1 or 2 year, or maybe if you are even 6-5 months, if you just practice over UiPath, you might want to explore more, then you can go with learning about VB.NET language. It's also really awesome. Following, let's discuss about conditionals, the main topic of today's session. So conditionals are basically statements that are created by the programmer which evaluates if certain action is true or false. So like just now we mentioned, if the condition is true, then what will happen? If will go to the then block. Basically like every if activity, like again, whenever I'm saying activity, I'm referring to these activities, these applications which are provided by UiPath to make the robot. Okay. So if we are using an if activity, we have got three things. First, a condition, a then block, and a else block. So if your condition is true, then what will happen? It will execute the then block. So condition can be true or false. You can simply write that, or you can write like for example, 5 greater than 2. That also compiles to true. Or it could be if you have created a variable and it has some value, then you just check if variable is not nothing. Okay, that is also a kind of condition which will give you an result as true or false. So as long as your condition gives you a boolean value, then you can use them in the condition place, condition input. Now if it is true, then go to the then block, execute this activity if condition is true. Similarly, if your condition is false, then you need to execute the else block. Got it, guys? Is the if basic if else clear to you all, especially for students who are from first year? Okay, great. If any one of you like is not able to understand, just you need to mention the chat, repeat, and we will just go again with all the slides that whichever you want. Okay, next we have got if, elif, else. If you guys if any one of you is learning about Python, you might see that yes, this is same which we use in Python. So in general, UiPath does not have an elif. By default, there is just one activity, which is if activity. It consists of a then block and an else block. But just like in programming, what we can do, we have a cotton like if condition with a condition like true or false. What will happen over here? It will give us a true condition. The final condition will be true. So it will go with the then block. Okay. Now, what if there would have been an end? If there would the condition would be false, then it could have gone to the else block. Then again, we are trying for another if condition. So that comes if, elif, and then else. This is like you can, whenever you are building a bot, you can go with if conditions, else, or if, elif, else. But what you are not supposed to do in UiPath or any programming language, that like it does not come into best practice. That is a nested if else. You know why? So first of all, let's see what is a nested if else. Nested means something like one inside another, and it's like too big, a complete nest, just like a nest of bird. There are so many branches of a tree which are all mixed up together, and it's too difficult to know that which branch is going to which place. So that's why I would say try to avoid a nested if else. So let's first understand what is a nested if else, so that you can always make sure that you avoid that. I have got a if activity over here. Okay, it has a condition for the first if activity, true or false. So if it will conclude to true, then this my sequence will go to the then block. Then again, I have got another if activity. I'm again checking if it is true and false. Now what will happen? True and false is false. So it will go to the else block. Then again over there, I am applying another if activity. So now if this thing keeps going on, it becomes too much nested, and it's like very messy. If you develop a code using such if else, multiple if else all in one another, and pass it to someone else, it might be possible that your bot is working completely fine. Okay, it's you might say that, sir, my bot is ready, it is working completely fine, it can do all the tasks you have said to us. But when you give it to someone else, he won't be able to scale it or debug it, check it, what is the issue coming up. because he would open each if else, then again if else, then again if else. So he would get confused that where actually which code is present, right guys? So you need to avoid that. Make sure that either you use either one if and other else, or something, try something else instead of just going with it. Is the time complexity also greater for nested if else? Mm, time complexity won't come there's like that won't be a much of an issue, because we generally use if, but what the issue is that when you're developing, these activities take so much space. By space I am just meaning literally on the visible screen. Like over here, if you see this if activity, this space is over here. So what happens when there are so many activities, like say 10, 12, 20 activities, it gets messy and difficult to scale it. And if we talk about time complexity, then it not the only depends on your nested if else. That is a one part. It more depends on which other activities and program flow you are using. So just try to avoid it, and that way you will not only improve your time complexity, because and you will also make your bot look great. And because you know that jo dikta hai wahi bikta hai, that, so something, it's something like that. So just try to avoid this. And if you want to actually need multiple conditions you want to check, then just give some focus to what actually you are building. So like for example, over here I have a condition true or false. Then again I want to check if this is true. Then I want to check if there is another condition like true and false, something like this. Just let's say this is condition 1 and this is condition 2. So what my aim is, if condition 1 is true, then check if condition 2 is also true. So instead of going with if, what you could have done, you could have applied a logic and just say condition 1 and condition 2. So that way both of these conditions would have been tested in the first if only. Am I right? Did you guys understand this part? Yes or no guys? If you guys, you know, always think before you develop, that logic you need to always remember. If there are multiple conditions and you just want to check them all together, or you want to check if either of those conditions are true, try to use the logical operators that we discussed in the first slide. Okay, that way your code will look good. Second option that you have, if you have really got so many conditions to check, so many work paths are there. Like let's say an example, you have got some data. Okay, like an input is being given. The input would be the name of any of your student. Let's say I am giving input as Sayali. Then what my bot should do, it should send a mail to Sayali only. Another input I have got, like it might be possible the user might give me Saurabh as the name. Then I want my bot to send the mail to Saurabh only. It should not give that mail to someone else. Similarly for Aditya, Sainath, it might be possible we have such a scenario that we want that whoever's name is coming, we want to send a mail to that person only, no one else, or perform certain activities which are only to the for that particular person. So what you can do, best approach is, then instead of going for a sequence, go with flowcharts. Okay, that is the main idea as we discussed in previous sessions. Flowcharts are used when we've got multiple conditions together and different steps to be followed. So we have got our flow decision. Flow decisions and flow charts are a like better choice when you are trying to develop a flow where multiple conditions are to be used. It will create your code look so good and easy to understand, easy to scale. Anyone can just drag and drop this and attach the activity anywhere. Like these are particularly some just arrows which you can connect or remove. Okay, connectors you would say. So if I want to add some another activity or do something else, I can just drag another activity in between these connectors and reconnect the path. It's like an example, good example would be, we all use Google Maps, right? And whenever we enter some location from our current location to our destination, there are multiple paths that are visible in Google Maps, and it just gives us one of the best paths. Now, what if I want to change to another path? I don't want to go through the same path which is given to me by Google. I can simply click on the another path, and that will now give me the different directions. So it is something like that. The connectors are like the different paths. We can simply delete them or move them, manipulate them, so that the path which is being taken by the bot based on conditions can be easily manipulated and changed. Okay, so models a conditional node with two outcomes, this flow decision, a true or false. Only two possible scenarios are there, and we only can use them with the flow charts. We cannot use these flow decisions with sequence. Okay, understood, guys? Guys, you have got again. I just need your you need to be interactive, so I get to know that whatever I am saying, I'm not being fast enough, because personally I think that this concept is easy and you can learn. But still, if there is any student who is not facing any kind of issue, thinking that I am being too fast, you can just mention. Okay, that would be more better than just going through all the slides. Okay, so that was a flow decision that you use only with flowcharts. Then another important something is switch. Switch is like if, else, nested if else, flowcharts. These are something which you find in almost every programming language if you want to practice, or it could be even in anything, no matter what it is. If else is something which is available everywhere, even in a real life. Like for every decision, we have got a condition for us. Should I do this? If I would do, then either this action might happen next, or else something might happen. Based on that only we take our life decisions. But something like a switch is not available with everyone. Like for example, Python, my favorite programming language, it does not have switch with it. Okay, so a switch statement allows a variable to be tested for equality against a list of values. So in simple terms, what we say, there is an expression field. We can put any kind of variable or any statement. Okay, something which have some kind of value in it. So we generally use a variable. Okay, since only variables can store a different value of any data type. Now every switch has one thing common: they have a default section. If none of the cases are true, none of the cases follows are same, they have the same value as the expression, then the default block is always run. So like in the message box, you can read run if expression does not match with any case. Okay, next we have got cases. The switch has different cases, and each case has a certain value assigned to it. So this value is checked with the expression. Let's say if the variable's value is 5, then what will happen? You have to answer, guys. Out of these, like this is a default box. Inside this case 3 and case 8 are also message boxes are present. Okay, which have certain string to it, like I am number 3 or I am number 8. So let me know, what if I give the variable as value 5? What message would appear? Default, run if expression does not match with any case. Yes. And if 8 comes, what will happen? If the variable value is 8, the message, what message will it will give, or which case box it will execute? Case 8, right? Now one thing you need to remember, which is something different from other programming languages, that in general what happens when we talk about switch statement, the idea is that it follows a certain path instead of a case. Like for example, this expression is true. Okay, what will happen? I'm not talking about UI path, I'm talking about just in general. If for example variable value is 3, okay, and case 3 gets executed, now in general we use a break statement to bring the execution cursor out of that particular case, as long as all the activities are complete. else what happens, it goes to all the cases from there. Like if case 3 is true, then it will run case 3 and then it will run case 8 as well. Now this statement was for a general switch, okay, but in UiPath it's different. In UiPath only a single case will execute, always only a single case. Like either only default will run, or only case 3 will run, or only case 8 will run, okay. And these 3 and 8 are just values. It could be of any data type, it could be of color, it could be of string, integer, float, decimal, anything. Got it, guys? Was that clear? Okay, we are almost over with all the activities. Now let's see. Again, we have gone through our theory. Now we are up to our studio. Let me just open the studio. And today I'm thinking to give you a task as well. First, let me know how many of you even tried. Like yesterday, I had shown you some bots. Okay, they were just simple, taking some input and giving some output on the message box. Did any of you tried that bot, creating that same simulation for you, running a bot? So did you did something different from what I did, or was it just exact replica? Let me know. Did you just replicate that bot or try to manipulate it? Did something different? Um, no one is responding now. Guys, Aditya, Saksham, Sainath, Nishant, similar one. Normally we just send message. Okay, nice. Use different operators. Same. Okay, great. So let's see how a conditional works. Okay, use assign. Okay, so guys, assign is for just an equal operator, something like that, to assign some value to a variable. Now let's see. If I want to work on if activity, I can simply write if over here, and it highlights me all the activities which are available in the UI path. So I can just use this one, click on it, and it will pop up over here. Now if I want to put in a condition, okay, so as mentioned, condition could be anything. So let's say I am taking some, again, let's say some input from someone, input, or give me something, input data. Okay, what will happen, a question to you all, what will happen if the user does not give us any input and simply clicks on OK? Let's just guess the what will happen if I just run this. See, now if I want to run this, now if I do not enter anything and click on OK, what will come up in message box? Answers, guys. Nothing. Zero. So one is saying an empty string would be visible, like message box will pop up and nothing would be there. Another answer we have got, a zero will come. Zero, like a false statement, something like that. Right, great. Others, only 4 or 5 guesses. How many is there? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guesses. 5 guesses out of 32 people. Can't you guys be more interactive? Okay, no worries. Okay, I'm just clicking on it. I got nothing. That's good. nothing happened. Okay, but another question. What I want to do is, mm, let's say I want to create something. I will use an if activity. Then now over here I write true. Now I use an assign over here. Let's say stand block. Condition is true, and an assign block. Else block. Condition is false, and the scope I need to change. Then this. Okay, now if I just enter over here, then block, it is giving me an error. Why? Why it is giving me an error? Scope change for variable out of scope. Okay, so over here the variable is not defined. I need to change the scope to sequence, right? Okay, great. Now it is okay. Now what will happen if I run this? It will what? It will give me as input condition is true, right? And what if I write over here else block? It will give me condition is false. Yes or no? Yes. So I will run it. Okay, I don't want to give anything. It didn't give me anything. Why? It should have given me condition is false. So the reason is, as you can see these tick marks, the flow of the bot was to go through the then block, and that's why the else block was not initialized with this value. It was just simply initialized with something over here. Okay, so you need to always check that what the flow of the path, the flow of the bot will be. Now what I'm going to do another trick is, hmm, this time what is the answer? I have changed something. I have given these nothing, I have defined them. That input data is nothing, then block is nothing, else block is nothing. And you know guys that the flow of it would be that else block will not run. So what will happen now? It should nothing will be answered, right? Let's see if nothing is given as answer or not. I don't want to give an input. Oh, still nothing came. Nothing was, the string was empty only. So basically it's all about that which sequence, the which flow the bot will take. Okay, it's not about what should be done. Now one more thing that we need to see is about the switch. So there are two kinds of switch. One I have explained, the simple switch. We use this in generally with sequence, or sometimes even you can use with flowcharts. But for flowchart, we generally prefer to use the flow switch, which is specifically designed to use with the flow. Let's try to use that. What can be done? Okay, so I am using a flowchart. Let's remove this and this. Now, what I mentioned earlier about a use case, that what if a certain name was given and based on that we are need to do something. So again, I will take some input. Let me just give a name over here. This is the output variable which I have created just using Control K, and this is, let me just open it. So our dialog title is like name of student. Input label is, give me a name. Now, if I want to create a condition that who based on name, the bot is supposed to move to the next flow. So what I can do, I can use switch. Since I will be having multiple conditions, I can use a flow switch over here and like connect this over here. Now you see there are so many other conditions are over given, based on which we can define that what should be the expression in name. Like say the expression I will give as name, whatever the value of name would be, you need to consider that, and based on that these flow paths would be decided. So right now it is giving me an error because the type argument is set to be int32, means an integer, but my variable is of string data type. So I can just click on this and convert it to string. Okay, come over here. Now let me just connect it like this. This looks more better. And name. Okay. Now, for example, I want to use a message box. I want to say that if it is default, okay, then give my name. If it is someone else, let's say I dragged over here. Now case 1, let's give it a value. Let's say it is Aditya. Okay, then Aditya. So similarly for others, I can just use any kind of which case ID over here, select it, change the value. Let's say next is Sainath and put a message over here. Okay, and we have got one more other than this. If our value is null or empty, let's say empty, that also you can define. Do you guys know what is the difference between null or empty? Any guesses? Can we increase the case count? As in around 6 or 8 connectors are there. Can we increase that count? So by default, you cannot increase that, but you can simply do one thing. Just use the default switch again, and you can connect this default one to your this flow switch. So if it fails, like I will connect this over here. Now let's bring it over here. Wait, let me make it look better. Okay, now if all these switch cases are failed, then that means your case values are not mapping together. Your 8, for example, we have got 20 values, 20 numbers we are trying to get from user. If the first 9 values does not match, or maybe first 8 values, then our default case will run, and default will check for the next flow switch. We can just put in the same value with different case values from like 9 to next 8 values, 9 to 16. Okay, Aditya? Okay. Null is a value slash zero, Nishan. Yeah, null is a value, but in programming language generally. But when we are talking about here, we are simply like null is something like nothing. Okay, that is also true. You can say generally we check if a string value is null or empty, both together, and that is mostly you would see when you're working with Excel, because sometimes there are Excel fields which are not filled, but like we let them empty because probably we don't have the data for them, and they creates an issue with your bots. So you just check for a condition if your that value which you are get fetching from Excel is null or empty. Okay, now let's just see what this bot will run. I will click on debug. Okay, I've got an error somewhere. So bot was able to define the error expression must be set for the flow. Okay, it must have given me error for this one switch. So let's just remove this error, delete this, and drag and drop this and debug. We have got one more message box left empty. So if you want to stop a bot before running, you can just click on stop, or you can break the break as well, the execution in between. So what I had built this one for, to check the null value. What happens if we set the case value to be null? Okay, so let's give it as the value is null. Okay, now debug. So what if I give my name over here? The answer should be this is false, this is false, this is false, this is false. So it should give me my name. Okay, I want to run it again. This time I am going to give like Aditya. It again gave my name. Why so? Anyone, any idea? Yes, I gave Aditya as the input, but still I didn't got this message box written train. See the flow direction, it should have run this one. The expression is name, this is condition is true, but the case value, it didn't match with this. Let's try again. Even I'm not sure actually. Let's check. So what we are giving in input is this, and it is again and again running the default case. That means it is unable to identify this as a string. If I just remove this double quotes and now check, and let's just give it again. This time it ran the message box with Aditya's name. So what it shows us, that the case value should be exactly same. Okay, like this one is also incorrect. If I want to look for sign up, it should be without double quotes, and your case values would just needs depends on this type argument. If it is string, then it will look use them, think of these values as string. If it is integer, it will think of them as integer, or if it is color, boolean, anything, based on that these case values will be referred. Now what if I do not give any example? What will happen, null or empty? If I just click on OK, what should be the answer, null or empty? Empty. Only two are trying to give answers. Let's say. Great. Okay, this is a test that I want to do. I'm not sure it would be right or not. Let's give exactly the same value, like null. What do you think will happen? Now what is the difference between null and null? there NUL is not a null value over here. In UiPath, NULL refers to your null value. So it just gave me default. So your null, if you want to look for a null value or an empty value, why we use that? Like, let me just use this instead of I want an if condition. So if I just write string dot is null or empty, okay. So these are generally whenever we take input from a user, it is in the form of string, or we take input from an Excel or from text file. Most of the conditions, your input values will always be in the form of string. So whenever you are trying to develop a bot, try to use a condition to verify if your data is null or empty. If it is, like, let's say my data is null or empty, I can just write my name. So right now this condition will give me a false. So what I will do in my best prep, what I follow generally is I use the condition like this whenever I'm using some kind of variable to develop a bot. So before running through it any kind of activity, like for example, I want to print this, okay, and that should be only printed only if this variable is exists. Then you need to use this condition, such conditions. That is a kind of best practice. Else it will give you an error that the variable does not even exist. Okay, so try to follow these things and always check before developing a bot that your data is in proper format or not. If it is not, then give the response to the user that your data is not proper, or you need to check your data. So that was all for today's if else nested if else and our switch statements. Is everyone clear with today's all the topics? One thing I guess we're left with was a switch statement that was the same as in the image. So everyone, can you just message if the today's conditional statements you were able to understand? Will you be able to create a bot using the conditionals? Okay, so try to build something like a game using the conditionals only. Like for example, you have seen this flow, like how these flows work. Okay, these connectors. You can even like do something like this. If I have a connector, I can connect it back to the same thing, something like an iteration. So try to build something. Yeah, Nishan, a quiz game can be possible. Anything. Try to build with conditionals so that you get an idea how this conditional works, what is scope. Because learning about the theory is one thing and practicing that is another. Practice gives you more experience and able to understand things very well. Okay. By theory, like you might have thought that we know string works within double quotes. So like that was one thing I even thought of, and I just used double quotes by default based on my practice, and that was incorrect. So you by practice only you'll be able to understand each and every activity properly. Got it, guys? Still getting some participants. Okay, one now tell me one more thing other than this. Are you guys active on LinkedIn? In I guess in one of my previous sessions, I just told you guys about being over there. Yeah. So when you are trying to learn RPA or you build something, always try to share it over there. And it's not only about RPA, it's about anything that you learn. Okay. If you are working with RPA, you can always tag me RTBI so that everyone knows that you are actually working and you are learning in this in new domain which is in the market. And for other things that also you do, it could be computer networking, it could be working with Arduino. You should start sharing those things and building up a profile over there, connecting with so many experts and all the community which is available at the global level, so that when you are out of your college or at the level of your placement, you get to connect, you get to get the knowledge from real industry experts. And having a great connection on LinkedIn gives you a chance to directly connect with experts, directly show to the HR of the various companies that what you can do, what you can achieve. Okay, what should we share? As in a screenshot of the screen, you can do anything. Probably like if you want to share a screenshot, you can simply do what, like right click on your flow and save as image, copy as image. Okay, that is the one choice. You can create a video of whatever you have developed. That show in the video you can show what your bot is doing. Now it's up to you what you're trying to build. Okay, you have to show your own creativity, what you can do with conditionals only. One idea was creating a quiz. It could be something else you can create, and just think out. And for those who are going with the foundation course, you might be able to do or more things that we have not yet learned. Okay, so you can inbuild them as well. Any doubts guys for today? Because I guess we are over with today's lecture. Okay, great. So let's end today's session. It was, I guess, half hour early we were able to get free.
Thank you very
Rohit?
much, sir, for such a informative lecture.
Okay, great. So anything else there you want to say, share with us, or can we just close the session?
No, sir, we can end the session now.
Okay. See you
Okay,
guys
sir.
tomorrow.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thanks a lot.